Well, Mondays are normally the most boring day starting the week. However, this I'm going to keep this exciting. As you know, I mentioned before, there were still some shows from 2023 that I haven't seen yet. I feel like I want to finish those off and move on to of course, to what we have for 2024. So for today, we have four of them we're going to be reviewing. The first one is from North Carolina promotion, um, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, with their second anniversary. All titles are on the line: the tag team titles, the women's title, and the world championship as well. And we also have a no holds bar match on that one. We even have Pro Wrestling Noah with their event back on in December. It happened on the 23rd, but it wasn't broadcast until the 26th of December. This one is the gift in Makuhara. Um, Happy birthday, Keiji Muto. So yes, Keiji Muto was right there too. And as you know, this is the final show before their final show of 2023 before we start the new year as well. And of course, we already know what we're at right now at the new year. Then, of course, on New Year's Eve, uh, once again, Big Japan Pro Wrestling and DDT Pro Wrestling once again collaborated with their annual show New Year's Eve. This one features a one-day tournament, six-man tag team shuffle. So that's something I'm looking forward to reviewing as well. And of course, finally, we have All Japan with MANIAx that also took place on New Year's Eve. Katsuhiko Nakajima defends his title for the first time against one of All Japan's top stars, Kento Kirihara. But the obvious question is, can Kento Kirihara dethrone Nakajima, who invaded All Japan? Well, we'll find out. And of course, we have some news updates that we're definitely going to be talking about. We're going to talk about updates from the promotions themselves regarding who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, developments of what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as some things that we don't know about, some things that happen on shocking news, the whole enchilada. That's what we're going to do. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various subjects such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do some more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate one by itself. And of course, real timing news updates as well, what's been breaking news so far. And of course, various other cool things on this channel. So if you guys like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. And of course, if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button. And also, if you want to leave us a nice comment in the description down below. Now, as I said before, but first things first, if you guys notice, I keep saying Impact Wrestling. Right now, we're in 2024. TNA is back, baby. Jesus, what am I thinking? Well, I gotta practice my opening from now on. So anyway, as you guys know, I said 2020. I still got some shows I haven't reviewed remaining of 2023 of December. Now this is where we're gonna try to finish off what we can so far. Now, our first one is from North Carolina promotion Deadlock Pro Wrestling, the second anniversary. So a lot of things have taken place on this one. Our opening match is a 6-man tag team match. We have LeBron Cozone teaming up with Violence is Forever, Kevin Koo and Dominic Garrini. They take on, of course, Team Filthy, Tom Lawler, and of course the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. Now, of course, Violence is Forever is no stranger to Tom Lawler. They used to be a team until they broke things apart from each other. But, however, as you know, Team Filthy has always been one of the most dominating factions that we've seen so far. However, Tom Lawler had this match won as normal, but however, Kozo was able to overturn it and to a pinfall without realizing what he got himself into. So, Kozone picked up a huge win, but in the process, Team Filthy, for being the sore losers that they're at, they attacked them out of nowhere. So basically, they were just beating the crap out. But the surprising thing happened. We saw the arrival of two former WWE superstars. You guys know them, Mansoor and, of course, Mace, who now goes by Mason Madden. Together, they call themselves MXM. Now, you ask yourselves, why are they in Deadlock Pro Wrestling? Simple. It's no secret if you follow the independent scenes, you know certain regions that have the hottest tag team in the country. North Carolina knows Deadlock Pro Wrestling has the hottest pro wrestling in their region. That's the reason why. But of course, MX MXM, their first order of business is the West Coast Wrecking Crew. So they're gonna have a match with them on January 20th. What was still a while away from that, but I'm looking forward to that. But of course, you can tell that the West Coast Wrecking Crew are not happy, but they'll do whatever it takes to shut them up once and for all. Now, our next match is a women's match. We have Nicole Matthews taking on Yu. Now, this was a very interesting match. Now, Yu is a big, powerful Yoshi wrestler. You know her strength. You know what she does. She's full of energy, but she's facing with someone. But one thing that was interesting on the entirety of the match, Nicole Matthews was being methodical, targeting Yu's left hand, which was a smart tactic, which played out pretty well until Yu was about to apply a power bomb. Somehow, Nicole Matthews was able to overturn that by turning it into an inside cradle. 1, 2, 3, pick up the win. And of course, fans are not happy how this one turned out. They were hoping that Yu wins, but that's how it goes. Now, our next match, we have Jake Something and Mike Bailey teaming up. This is the first time I think they team up. They take on Titus Alexander, who, kind of returned from his Japanese tour. He teams up with the DPW National Champion, Brian Keith. Now, this was a pretty good match, but what I did like is how Jake Something and Mike Bailey were able to coexist, because they have faced off each other. There have been mistakes between each other, but one thing that is Mike Bailey plays the positive individual in the entirety of the match. But of course, Tyler Alexander, who's proclaimed himself as the franchise, begs to differ. But in the end, it was Mike Bailey with the ultimate weapon to put away the match. However, Jake Something has something in his mind. During the post-match, he wants a shot of the DPW National Champion, Brian Keith. So I say that's going to be a good match to enjoy. So we'll see when that happens. Hopefully they can book that one. Now, our next match, we have a no holds barred match. Now, this feud has been gone for who knows how long. BK Westbrook and Andrew Everett. Now, Westbrook and Everett known each other for many years. Now, Westbrook has always proclaimed that he is the top star in DPW. Not to mention, a while back, Everett was shoved. Westbrook shoved Everett's dad, who was in attendance. Try to say nasty things, but Andrew will not take that, likely one way or the other. So this was a much brutal match. Even Papa Everett showed up and gave his son a little helping hand. But man, Westbrook went through hell. But same thing was Everett. But Everett put him through an avalanche choke slam through a table. And of course, during the post match, when he won, he said some things to him. Like, Westbrook always claimed that Everett has always been a sore loser, that he will never amount to anything, that he's not in the same level as him. But of course, Everett will not stoop up to his level, and he told him that he will succeed no matter what he says. So that's how the story continues. Hopefully, this is the end between the two of them. If not, then like Konami says, never end. Now, before we started our first title match of the evening, they were DPW were surprised, but their party was crashed by a guy named Oliver Sawyer, a wrestler. I don't even know who this guy is. So he is questioning, why was he not booked? Of course he was not booked. No one thinks that he should be in it. But, however, he called out somebody to open challenge, and the person who actually answered the challenge was, of course, the former DPW World Champion, Bojack. And I can tell you this match ended in 43 seconds flat when Bojack applied the Bojack Buster, and it was over. So this kid should have just kept his mouth shut, but no. Now, our first title match of that evening is the DPW World Tag Team titles. We have one of the greatest tag teams in history, Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, taking on the Workhorsemen. Now, Workhorsemen has always claimed that they are the current top champions of today, which, of course, you can not disagree. But however, when it comes to the Motor City Machine Guns, you know perfectly well. Now, last time, the only reason this match happens is because the Motor City Machine Guns were in the main event in the last show, taking on Violence is Forever. However, Workhorsemen felt this is offended. They're like saying, we are the tag champions. They're not. Why do they get the top spot? So basically, that was the issue. But of course, this match had to happen regardless. But of course, there will be moments where Workhorsemen will do whatever it takes to ensure this match was going to go in their favor. But they used the belt on Chris Sabin. They thought it was going to work, but it failed. But the one thing that was interesting is Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley put JD Drake in a inside cradle and won. Basically, they won clean. So the Workhorsemen can complain and bitch about what happened. I'm sure they'll say we did everything right, but did they did everything right? No. None of their tactics work, but this time that was different. So we'll see what happens from here on out with them. Now, our next match, this is for the vacancy of the DPW World Championship. Now, let me explain what happened. Those who've been aware recently, WWE has signed up for certain wrestlers, and they're set to report to WWE at the Performance Center starting this year. Amongst them was the previous champion, Jay Malachi. So Jay Malachi made the decision to relinquish his belt, and he was trying to find out who will step up once he's leave. And two of them stepped up, and that is Colby Corino and Calvin Tankman. So basically, that was the story, that they will challenge for this belt. And I think that was a good, proper way. Now, I think this was going to be a good match. I mean, hard-hitting, slobber knocker type of a match that you enjoy. I mean, Tankman, there's a reason why they call him the heavyweight hustle. This guy is always up for a fight. And not to mention, Colby Corino, excellent wrestler, second generation wrestler. The guy has all the tools in the world. But, however, it was Tankman who picked up the win with the Tankman driver with twice. He put two Tankman drivers on Colby Corino to pick up the win, becoming the brand new DPW World Champion. Now, our main event is the DPW Women's Championship. The challenger, Miyuki Takase, versus Emi Sakura. Now, Miyuki Takase is no stranger to DPW. If you guys remember, I reviewed, there was one of their shows that features Miyuki Takase taking on Miyu Yamashita. Now, that was the first time they ever crossed paths because if you guys know this or not, Miyu is from Tokyo Pro Wrestling. She doesn't freelance all over Japan like Miyuki does. But now it's the same kind of concept. Emi Sakura, well, we know she runs Got to Move and does this, but I don't think I don't know if they ever ran the similar circles, but it was a pretty good match. I mean, I was like impressed by the whole thing, but however, it was Miyuki Takase with the diving leg drop onto Emi Sakura. 1, 2, 3, brand new DPW Women's World Champions. So obviously, in one night, all titles exchanged except for the DPW National Championship. So basically, three had to make an exchange, one hasn't yet. But we'll see what happens in the future with DPW on their upcoming show on the 20th of January of this month. So we'll see about that. Right now, let's move on with Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah, The Gift, and Makuhari, uh, Keiji Muto's birthday. Now, this is where I should mention this was in fact taped on the 23rd of December, but it wasn't broadcast after Christmas, after Christmas on the 26th. So I don't know why they did that, but doesn't matter. We get to see it. Our opening match, we have a singles match. Well, before that, we had a very interesting surprise with Marifuji and Alejandro, who came to address the fans, but also to address a particular person, and that is, of course, Keiji Muto, who was there, the guest of honor, because that's what it says. Happy birthday, Keiji Muto. Um, so of course he get a flowers and all this, and many wrestlers who always looked up to him and all this stuff. So it's real nice. So yeah. Anyway, now let's begin with the matches. We do our first one is a singles match. We have rookie Yu Owada taking on Real's Shuhei Taniguchi. Now Taniguchi is ever since becoming a member of Real, he has becoming more and more technical savvy, a bit of a savage, but he gets the job done by applying a submission onto Owada to give himself a good win. Now, our next match, we have trios actions here. We have the Funky Express, Akitoshi Saito, and Mohamed Yana teaming up with Super Crazy. They take on Taishi Osawa and Asushi Kotoge and Go Shiozaki. Nothing significant about this match, but nonetheless, of course, we do see Go Shiozaki, who was, still, much like Tanahashi, still got it. But he picked up a very impressive win when he applied a lariat onto Saito to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have another singles match, but this is a junior heavyweight showcase. We have Eita um, taking on Hiroki. Now, keep in mind, Eita is in a big match on January 2nd, which I will review soon enough, for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. So that plays pretty well. Now, I have to say, Eita did came in with some good momentum coming into his title match, but however, he did ended this match when he applied the super kick. 1, 2, 3. It was done like that. Now, our next match, we have another 6-man tag team match. We have Junta Miyawaki, Shuji Kono, and Kazuyuki Fujita. They take on Kai Fujimura, Hajime Ohara, and Takashi Sugiura. So I thought this match also nothing significant, but there are some factors into this match. I mean, we do know that Fujita and Sugiura, they both were part of the faction known as Sugiura-gun until it was until disbanded. But however, it was of course Kondo who picked up a pretty good win when he applied a what was it? a lariat onto Fujimura. No, a Fujimura, and it was over right from there, just like that. Our next match, we have Alejandro Teriyaki and Naomichi Marufuji taking on the members of GLG, Good Looking Guys, Tadasuke, Yohei, and Jake Lee. Now, Good Looking Guys have been one of the top factions of the from the start. You can tell that this was going to be a very interesting matchup, but of course there's some factors here. Don't forget, Alejandro, along with his tag partner Ninja Back, will be stepping in on New Year on January 2nd for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles, but it's in a three-way match. The guys from GLG, Yohei and Tadasuke, will be also involved in that match. So the real question is who will build up the momentum to get that. However, in this particular time, it was Yohei who picked up the win when he applied the drop kick onto Teriyaki, and it was over right from there. Next up, another showcase of junior heavyweight matches. Hayata versus Yoshinari Ogawa. Now, these two guys are no strangers to each other. They're both were as you know, Hayata used to be a member of Ogawa's faction Stinger. The reasons he left was because he couldn't stand Ohara anymore. Now, Ohara couldn't take the fact that Hayata has becoming a much bigger star as a junior heavyweight competitor, which of course it wouldn't matter. But Hayata, on the other hand, has always shown why he's the best, and he proved it by applying a crucifix, ending the match. Now, our main event, we have Masa Kitamiya, Daiki Inaba, and of course Manabu Soya. Strange thing is, we know that Kitamiya and Manabu Soya, they used to be members of Congo. However, their former leader is on the opposite side of them. Keno, he teams up with Rohei Oiwa and Keito Kitamiya, which was interesting. Now, keep in mind, Manabu Soya is coming in hot because he is gunning for Keno for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. That's the idea what he was doing. However, it was Manabu Soya who picked up the win onto Keno when he pulled the lariat. So the real question does tell, should Keno be frightened, or should he be concerned that the possibilities he could lose the belt to Manabu Soya? Well, we will see. But as I said before, we will get to that show soon enough. As soon as I get some things out of the way, we will focus on that. So I think that's pretty much it right now. With Noah, let's move on with our next review. And this is a collaboration between both Big Japan Pro Wrestling and DDT Pro Wrestling. Okay. Big Japan Pro Wrestling, DDT Pro Wrestling, known as New Year's Eve Wrestling 2023. Now, this particular show happened exactly on New Year's Eve. Now, this is the last show for both promotions of 2023. Now, every year when they do this show, they have this thing where they have a tournament for 6-man tag team. So basically, they have makeshift teams that they do. Now, it doesn't matter if they coexist or not, but it's a fun tournament because you got different people involved in this. So we do have four opening round matches. I think we do, yes, 4 opening round matches, and then a semifinal, then a final. But we do have 2 non-tournament matches, so we'll see how this one will go. So let's get started on it. This one is called the Toshiwazor Shuffle 6-man Tag Team Tournament. And let's start with the first round. Our first team, we have Kota Sekifuda, Yuji Hino, and Harashima. They take on Takashi Masada, Akira, and Koji Iwamoto. Now, as I said in the past, these are makeshift teams from DDT and Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Obvious question is, can they coexist? I have to say there have been some teams that have been able to, and I was impressed because I know Yuji Ino, he's a freelancer who makes appearances in both promotions. Harashima, one of the stars in DDT, Sekifuda in Big Japan. But in the end of the day, it was, of course, a running Meteora by Hiroshima to um, Masada. Masada. It was beautifully done. So they advance into the next round. Our next match, we have Katsuda Kas, Kasusada Iguchi Yasufimui Nakanoi, I think that's his name, Kohei Kinoshita. They take on Trans Am, um, Kazuma Yoshida, and Soma Tokoa. Now, I have to say, what's interesting when I say makeshift teams all the time on this particular review. Aguchi, as you know, he is one of their top guys in DDT, but he teams up with guys he's never teamed up. And they had a very interesting gimmick. They act like a bunch of cool guys. And I thought they got along great. I mean, look, Iguchi, he knows when he can take things seriously. But when it comes to interacting with his teammates, you got to have a bit of fun. So that's the best part about him that I like. So, as always, I have to say, can any of these teams coexist with these makeshifts? Well, I have to say, Iguchi with his partners pulled it off pretty well, because it was Kinoshita who applied a win onto Trans Am Hiroshi with a suplex move, and 1, 2, 3, it was over. They proceed next. Our next match, we have Yukio Naya, Hideyoshi Kimitani, and Minoru Suzuki taking on Daichi Hashimoto, Ikuro Idaka, and then Shuko Dino. Now, everybody knows, steer clear from Shuko Dino's. If you don't want him to make out with you, put your face inside his pants, or your face in his ass. That's the last thing you need. But of course, Minoru Suzuki knows all that too well, because Dino actually made out with him. And yeah, it happened during the ring. You probably would think. But however, this match ended firstly as a 10-minute time limit draw with all the shenanigans that was happening. However, they're not going to let this one go, knowing that no, we cannot end it in a time limit draw. So there had to be a winner. So they requested that this match restart, and of course it did. However, Shuko Dino got it what he wanted, get people's faces up his ass, but that didn't last long, because it was, of course, a chokehold by Suzuki onto Dino to pay the price. Of course, Suzuki will not tolerate Shuko's shenanigans. And of course, he's disgusted to be around a guy like him, so I don't blame him. Now, our last match in the opening round, we have Hideki Okatani, Yuki Ishikawa, and Brahman Shu. They take on Fuminori Abe, Tetsuya Endo, and Daisuke Sekimoto. Interesting teams, to be honest with you. As always, I said, can these guys get along, these makeshift teams? Well, I have to say, they pulled up pretty well indeed. However, the one thing that was disappointing was Brahman Shu did not get to do what he does. Cause all kinds of mayhem and chaos in the ring with a lot of plunder. But in the end, it was, of course, a Cobra twist by Fuminori Abe to Brahman Shu that picked up the win, and they advanced into the semifinals. Now, our next match is a non-tournament match. We have one of BJW's faction known as Project Havoc, consisting of Leighton Buzzard, Tempesta, Ender Kara, and Daimoji So. No, I have seen Ender before during a Choco Pro show, but they take on against Kazuma Sumi, Rukiya, Kazumi Kikuta, and Kazuki Hashimoto. Not much. I can tell that this match, not too much important, but I can tell you to skip the end. It was a 450 splash by Buzzard onto Rikuya, and it was over from there. Of course, as always, Project are showing why they are the dominant faction in BJW. That's always been the case right there. Now let's jump into the semifinals of the tournament. Our first match, we have Kenta Sekifuda, Hiroshima, and Yuji Hino. They take on Kazuda Iguchi and Yasufumi Nakanoe and Kohei what's his name? Kinoshita, yeah. They take on, of course. So basically, this was a pretty good match. Not gonna lie. I mean, both these two teams managed to make it to the semifinals very well. But however, in the end, it was a Superman pin by Sekifuda onto Kinoshita that picked up the win. I thought not bad. So, of course, Sekifuda, Hiroshima, um, and Hino actually make it to into the finals. Now, our next match we have it's the second of the semifinals. We have Kamitani, Naya, and Minoru Suzuki taking on Minoru Abe, Sekimoto, and Endo. Pretty good match, not gonna lie. I mean, a lot of great moments on this one. However, like many moments, these type of matches ends in 15 minutes in a time limit draw. However, they demanded this match restarted, and it did. But in the end, it was a lariat by Sekimoto onto Kamitani to pick up the win. I was like, damn, that sucks. But yes, of course, Minoru Suzuki is not happy because that he lost. He lost the tournament. Well, he then made it proceed to the finals. But yes, that's what happened. Now, our next match is another non-tournament. We have Kazukiyo Hirata, Antonio Hana, and Yuki Ino taking on Takuya Nomura, Konduko Noshino, and Abdullah Kobayashi. Now, this is a very fun match. Now, those who don't know, apparently this entire time, Hirata, he's the kind of guy who will dance to his music. If you guys ever seen him, he has these glasses, and when he puts them on, you hear Tokyo, and he dances and the whole thing. Well, Hashino actually stopped them from doing that. Then Hashino was doing his, so they're going back and forth. And then, of course, Hirata decided to poke the bear by pissing off Hashino by doing his dance. But however, Hashino decided, oh, so you want to play that way? Okay. So he decided to dance to Hirata's music, and it worked out pretty well because it was Kobashi who made up the pin onto Honda, and it was over right from there. Real fun match, not gonna lie. Now, our main event of the tournament, we have, of course, Hiroshima, Yuji Hino, Kota Sekifuda take on Tetsuya Endo, Daisuke Sekimoto, and Fuminori Abe. Pretty good match, not gonna lie. I was impressed by both teams, not to mention. But this match ended with Tetsuya Endo with the shooting star onto Sekifuda, picking up the win and winning the tournament. I thought it was fantastic how it ends. I generally enjoyed it so much. So hopefully, let's see what happens next year. But however, let's proceed with another show that took place also on New Year's Eve, and that is All Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, All Japan Pro Wrestling with MANIAx. This one took place also on New Year's Eve. Opening match, we have Black Mensuri teaming up with Fuminori Abe and Takuya Nomura. They take on Naruki Doi, Minoru Tanaka, and Koji Iwamoto. Now, nothing significant about this match, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good match. Not gonna lie. I mean, we got a bit of submission specialists taking place in this one, but in the end, it was Tanaka who picked up the win when he pinned Black Mensuri out of nowhere. Black Mensuri was not happy with the result, so he walked away all pissed off. I mean, nobody likes him because he plays some dirty tricks. He's almost similar as Yano, but nothing compared like him. Next match, we have what's his name? Mitsuya Nagi, Koji Doi, and Kuma Arashi taking on Ryu Inoue, Ruki Honda and Takoa Amori. I thought, not like I said, nothing significant about this match, no storylines, but it was a pretty awesome match, not to mention. But it was Omori who picked up the big win when he applied a big lariat onto Arashima. I mean, Arashima's a big dude. It takes a lot of effort to put a guy down on laying back on his lying on his back. But nonetheless, Mori picked up the win. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Next match, we have Shuji Ishikawa and Ren Ayabe taking on Yuma Aoyagi and Yoshitatsu. Um, I thought it was a pretty good match. Not gonna lie, I was so impressed by this. But Yuma Aoyagi, who is the former Triple Crown champion, I'm sure he'll bounce back. I think this is gonna be his beginning of his New Year's resolution to get back on top again, to reclaim the Triple Crown Championship from Nakajima, who he lost a while back. But we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, it was Aoyagi who picked up the win by applying a bridge onto Ayabe. 1, 2, 3. It was over. Now, during the post match, I did make this report recently. Yoshitatsu has announced that he's planning his retirement. So to me, it was no secret. I had to report it because I figured that it had to happen sooner or later, because I couldn't wait. But I did mention he will appear this month in DDT Pro Wrestling, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, our next match, we have the Battle of the Brothers. We're talking about, more specifically, the Saito brothers, Jun and Ri. Now, these two guys have been dominant as a tag team, but I think many fans would question who would dominate between the two brothers. I mean, we have seen brothers face off each other. I mean, it's no secret how that could work out in some ways. So, I don't know. But nonetheless, these two guys are strong as hell. One of the most powerhouses type wrestlers you wouldn't expect. But the obvious question is, who's going to walk out? Well, I can tell you that it was Jun Saito who walked out when he applied the big boot on his brother. I'm like, dang, that's kind of suck. But nonetheless, this shows, even though they are dominant as a team, but who can be a dominant between them as singles competitors? That's always been the bigger question right there. But nonetheless, Jun won this match. Next match, we have a very fun duo. Seigo Tachibana teaming up with Kuroshio Tokyo Japan, or as we know him, Ikemen Jiro. They take on T-Hawk and Shotaro Ashino, who made his return. Now, of course, there were going to be some funny segments when it comes to Tachibana and Ikemen Jiro. I mean, it was going to play out perfectly, like every other time. But however, it was an insecurity by Kuroshio onto Ashino that picked up the win. Real fun match. No, I thought it was fun, but it was great. I enjoyed it completely. Our next match, we have Yuma Anzai and the debut of Charlie Dempsey from NXT. They take on Leona and Tatsumi Fujinami. Pretty good match, but like I said, I felt that WWE sent the wrong guy from NXT to All Japan Pro Wrestling. But I will make a video about that soon enough. I'm just preparing to write down what I need to say and all this. But we'll play it pretty well. But however, as always, Dempsey applied some of the most insane submission moves no one's ever seen, because he put Leona in a submission and it was over from there. I'm sure Leona does have a technical aspect of himself, but I think he's never dealt with a guy like Charlie Dempsey. I wouldn't be surprised if some day in the future they ever cross paths, but we'll see where that leads us. But Dempsey and that picked up the win. And don't forget, we do have the recent events from All Japan where Dempsey challenges Nakajima for the Triple Crown Championship. Now, our next match, we have the guys from DDT, 37 Kamina, Toi Kojima and Yuki Ueno taking on Atsuki Aoyagi and Rising Hayato. awesome match. I mean, I know that in the past we have seen 37 Kamina are trying to bounce back with, of course, the um, how to say Takeshita leaving the group, banning his brothers, but now they're trying to reinvent themselves. I think that's a good thing. Of course, Oyagi and Rising Hayato, they have teamed up before for many occasions, and they worked well. But however, how will this apply with 37 Kamina being in the picture? That's a good question. But however, we know that Yuki Inoi, he is the current KOD Open Win champion. He always finds a way to pick up the win when he applied the Renhai onto Hayato, picking up a pretty good, impressive win. Now, our next match, this is a title match. This is for the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Junior Heavyweight title. Dan Tamura, as you know, is the winner of the Junior Battle of Glory, takes on El Lindaman. El Lindaman, who has been shown what a dominant wrestler he is for a guy his size. And I felt this match, they're both evenly because Ilan the Man can pull off a high flying move if he can, but they're both technical aspect wrestlers. However, it was Dan Tamura who picked up a very impressive win by becoming the World Junior Heavyweight Champion when he applied the power bomb onto Ilan the Man and finally won this belt. I'm sure that he makes his brethren, the Evolution, proud, so we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, this is our semi-main event. We have Akudo Omori. He teams up with Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Minoru Suzuki. Now, what's strangely thing is, Davey Boy and Minoru Suzuki used to be members of Suzuki-gun. So you can call it a somewhat version, a reunion between Suzuki and Davey Boy as Suzuki-gun. But they take on Hikaru Sato, Hideki Suzuki, and Suwama. Now, one thing that was interesting, you have two guys on the opposite corners named Suzuki. And I felt like I was watching a mirror image of each other. Now, no, they're not blood related, in case anybody asks. No, Hideki Suzuki and Minoru Suzuki are not related. But it's not uncommon for people to have the same last name. But the one thing that was strange, I look at Hideki Suzuki and Minoru Suzuki. They're almost similar. They dressed as similar. Their wrist tapes tipped up. We're in the same wrestling type gear. I mean, you can say they're almost similar, and not to mention their styles are similar. You're looking at a mirror image of each other, and it started out with that. I'm like, wow, it's pretty impressive with that. Of course, but nonetheless, it was Davey Boy Smith who, of course, made his return to All Japan that made the difference when he applied a sitting down powerbomb on Hikaru Sato to pick up the win. So, very impressive. I mean, I would love to see Hideki Suzuki and Minoru Suzuki one-on-one in the future, but yes, I will see that. Our next match is our main event, the Triple Crown Championship. Kento Miyahara taking on Katsuhiko Nakajima. Now, as you know, Nakajima won the Carnival Champion turn. No, he made his appearance and he challenged for the Triple Crown Championship against Yuma Oyagi, and of course defeating him. But now that people are feeling that Nakajima's presence has caused not a rift, as you would like to say, but more like how would I put this? A guy who invaded All Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, Nakajima, we know he's a household name. You probably would have assumed. Now, many people were hoping Miyahara would pick up the win, but no, Nakajima, he is a freaking beast, a striker. This guy can hit hard, but unfortunately, if you guys notice, Nakajima changed his look. He looked more like something that Antonio Inoki would do. He kind of went into that kind of aspect, and he applied the Fujiwara armbar to pick up the win. I have to say, very impressive. So the obvious now, from here on out, what does the future hold for All Japan Pro Wrestling? Now, I will talk about All Japan Pro Wrestling on the upcoming discussion video, but many people have often said that maybe Nakajima could elevate All Japan Pro Wrestling because All Japan Pro Wrestling is not what it used to be from the 90s. They have completely changed a lot. But I'll explain. I probably will do 2 videos about All Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, one with of course, the potential partnership between both them and NXT, and then the other one I call it the Exodus of All Japan Pro Wrestling. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, I'm looking forward to what All Japan Pro Wrestling is going to do in the future, and as Katsuhiko Nakajima's as the guy leading the helm. So right now, let's move on with our lasting news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So we have tons of stuff that we're gonna do now. As you know, I did not release this episode on sooner than I thought. But however, I'm thankful that I got more updates on what we expected. Now let's begin with the GCW updates right now. As you know, we have the upcoming show for this month, No Compadre, that will be taking place on the 12th of January. Now, however, due to some circumstances beyond GCW's control, as you know, Maki Ito injured herself during a Tokyo Pro Wrestling event. Unfortunately, all her bookings with GCW have been canceled, so she won't be able to participate any foreseeable future. However, her involvement, they announced that they will replace her with Masha Slamovich in one of her matches to be involved. However, the other circumstances that also rose was Andrade El Idolo. Now remember, he did make an appearance on the highest in the room last month. However, due to the circumstances of his return to WWE, he won't be able to participate in GCW again, and this time he will be replaced by none other than Leo Rush, who just made his return after injury. So that's very interesting to hear. Now, however, we're not done with the whole compadre part here. No, they announced for a 6-man tag match involved. We have Oni El Bandito, Latigo, and Aries. They take on Jack Cartwheel, Aramis, and Flamita. Now, the following day, they do have another show called 56 Birds. Now, it's later turned that Tony Deppen is out of injury once again, like Maki Ito and whoever else. But they did announce that he was replaced by Cole Radrick. However, Tony Deppen had a match against Jonathan Gresham. Now it's going to be Cole Radrick to do that. So I'm kind of curious how this match is going to turn out. But they also announced for the 56 Birds, Rina Yamashita teams up with the former tag champions Los Macizos to take on Alec Price, Dante Leon, and Braden Toon. So that's going to be a very interesting team up. Now, another match was announced for the later on show on the 26th in Tampa. Look at me. Jacob Fatu will team up with his family member, Zilla Fatu, not Umaga's son. So I'm looking forward to that. But their opponents will be none other than Jay Lyons and Midas Black, the main event. Now for the Winter's Coldest 2 show on the 9th, on the 3rd of December, on the 3rd of February, the GCW World Title will be defended. Blake Christian defends his belt against Dark Sheik. Now, another interesting update: Insane Clown Posse member Violent J has been announced he'll participate in both shows for February with GCW, the Coldest Winter 2, and Feel No Ways. So yes, so that's gonna happen. Now, for other updates going on in the promotions, as you know, Gatoh Move had to make some changes in the main event. As you know, Miya Yatsuba injured herself during a Choco Pro event. Apparently, Emi Sakura decided I'm going to have a three-way dance match for the Super Asia Championship. So she nominated Balanaki, who is a former champion, and then, of course, Masato Tanaka. Now, this show will be happening real soon, but it will not be broadcast on that very day. It could take maybe a month or so until they do. So we'll see what happens. Um, West Coast Pro has announced for the Under the Bridge show taking place on the 16th, on the 18th of February. Leo Rush makes his return to the promotion. Interesting thing has been announced for a meet and greet with Wrestling Revolver for the Ready or Not. They announced Shelton Benjamin will be there. So anybody who's in a region where Wrestling Revolver is doing their shows, Shelton Benjamin is going to be making an appearance. So better get your tickets now. Now, interesting developments. Another meet and greet was announced, but this time it's from the collaboration between both Marvelous and West Coast Pro for their Marvelous Coast show taking place on the 23rd of March. They announced Medusa will also do a meet and greet, and she'll be right next to her longtime rival, Bull Nakano. So just putting it out there. Now, Mexican promotion KAOZ Lucha Libre has announced for the 39th anniversary show on the 24th of March. One of I like to call him the Stone Cold Steve Austin of Mexico. Cibernetico will be making his play. And finally, for our updates in the promotions, New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced a very interesting thing. They will be making their first appearance outside of Japan, but not in the States or in the UK, into Taiwan. They will be making a show at the Zep New Taipei. I'm going to pursue that's the venue. So they're on their way to Taiwan, and this will happen on April 4th. So, yes, I'm very curious how this was going to go, but I'm not sure we'll be able to see it right away, but we'll see what New Japan is stores for us. Now, interesting developments that's been happening in the world of pro wrestling. As you know, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, we did know that Yuto Nakashima and Oskar Leube are now on their excursion, and apparently we don't know where they'll be landing. Well, it's now been revealed that they will be heading to Rev Pro Wrestling as a tag team, and they make their debut on February 4th. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. Kurt Angle, on the other hand, put out a very interesting comment about the return of TNA. Now, many people have talked about TNA when it was announced that they're coming back, and of course they are. One typical topic that was announced that people ask, are they bringing back the six-sided ring? Unfortunately, they're not. They're not bringing that back. I mean, to me, I felt that the six-sided ring was what made TNA back then unique from what everyone else was doing. And Kurt Angle has kind of felt that way. You know, he actually talked about this on his podcast. Let me pull up what he said. I know I saved it. Here it is. Yeah, this is what he said. I think it's a great idea. I'll tell you this. The six-sided ring is a lot faster. Guys are coming off the ropes quicker because it's smaller ring. And I think that's why TNA is really action-packed, because there's not a lot of dead time. Okay, they're in there. You bounce off the ropes. One step, 1.5 step, then you step into the opponent that you're going to end up throwing you. So basically, Kurt Angle thinks they should bring back the six-sided ring. And I know some of you would say, nah, bro, it's not going to happen. I mean, as I said, I felt that was what made TNA unique from what WWE itself during that day. But yes. Now, a very interesting thing has happened. As you know, Mustafa Ali was released from the WWE back in September, and then of course, once his 90-day no compete clause ended, he started getting bookings left and right for 2024. And amongst these bookings, he went to France to participate in a promotion. Yes, France has it, and the promotion is called APC. However, during a post-match, after winning his match, he put a very strong, powerful words that he had to say, and this is what he said. And I think many of you will be surprised what he said. I've been thinking more than the past 90 days. What's the first thing I want to say? And it's simple as this. If I tear up, I apologize because I believe this is from the bottom of my heart. Every upper management person that I have ever worked in this industry has told me in my face, no one will ever cheer for someone named Mustafa Ali. And of course, the crowd were saying, and I saw this on a clip, they were saying boo, and of course, pardon my language, fuck them. Yes, that's what they were saying. And this is what he says. Nah, even better than fuck them. Show them. He continues on. To the people watching, right now, I'm in a sold out house at APC, and every single person in this building chanting Mustafa Ali. Of course, everybody cheered. I'm going to leave this one more note, and this is what I want the industry. He continues on. I want change in the industry. I want guys that are at a certain level that can reach down and pull people up. The young man that I just shared the ring with, let me tell you something. I have been in the ring with Rey Mysterio. I've been in the ring with AJ Styles. You name them. I've been in the ring with them. You, my good man, are just as good as them. I'm absolutely honored to perform here. I landed this morning. I have no sleep, but I don't give a shit because this is giving me life. Thank you all. Good night. So yes, so it appears that many people have often said. Now we've been hearing this countless times from people who say, "Oh, they'll never be the top guy in WWE." So right now, Mustafa Ali saying that has to change. This had enough. But I'm sure many of you would agree with that. Now, interesting developments. As you know, Mayu Iwatani has been helping as a consultant for her upcoming biopic film. Now, those who've been aware, a Japanese movie production decided they want to make a biopic story about Mayu Iwatani called The Runaway Wrestler. If you guys are unfamiliarized with the story, let me give you a quick recap about it. Mayu Iwatani was in fact a girl from the countryside of Japan who ran away from home and ended up into a city that's been unknown to her, Tokyo. Of course, Tokyo is one of the biggest cities in the world. So it tells the story from her time she ran away from home to become the icon of stardom. And they announced that their movie will be released on May 17th. Now, I'm not 100% sure if we'll be able to see it. If we do, I will be happy to. Hopefully, I get to review it, but I still haven't reviewed the Iron Claw movie, but hopefully, I get that done soon. Now, as you all know, Flip Gordon ended up going to CMLL when he got signed. And of course, recently I just found out he's currently residing in Mexico City. But now he posted out on his social media that now he's accepting accepting select independent bookings for 2024. So anybody who's a big fan of Flip Gordon, if you know your local promoter in your region, if you want Flip Gordon to come to your area, let your promoter know, hey, I want Flip Gordon. So do that. Now, as you know, we just saw recently Nic Nemeth makes his appearance in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He breaks his silence since his release. So let me see what this is what he had to say. I was prepared for the last 6, 8, 10 months going. At some points, I have to make a change here. As you're already ready to go and see, you don't have a chance to be in a pay-per-view match and steal the show. You don't have a chance to have 6 minutes match to steal the show. You have a match in 3 minutes and you don't get an entrance everyone knows is winning. Can't I find a way to work, have that work? Once that started happening, even a couple years ago, when Bobby Roode and I tagged, I was thinking at some point I have to be ready to go. Will shape my stamina be there? I have to be prepared as so long as getting things ready to go. I wasn't. What? What do I do? No. I'm free. Was I planning for half of this entire last time you're going? I know at some point I am going to being paid way too much to sit at home. So I'm going to have to get out there. I've always wanted to be ready to go in just in case. I said, I know I'm going to be going in 90 seconds matches. Can I do 30 minutes with The Undertaker? You're damn right you can. I can do I can go any way, and I just wanted to have every opinion available. Available. It wasn't out of the blue. I had sent emails to the boss over the last few months saying I have to move on to somewhere else. Can you let me do this? Eventually, without exact back and forth, that's when it worked out. It wasn't weird because it was 6, 8, 10 months in place going, here it comes. And now I have 90 days to sit around, which broke my heart, but I got extra work. So basically, he was already been planning since this was going to happen, but it worked out pretty well. Now, now I know some of you guys may not like this guy. Some of you may love him. Some of you like, who gives a damn about him? Matt Riddle actually explained something interesting regarding his involvement in the Royal Rumble in 2022. And was reported by Fightful Select. So this is what he had to say. I was told at one point I was going to win the Rumble 2022. And then Bobby Lashley beat Brock Lesnar and hit him with the belt. Brock came in, didn't want to do business with everyone, and said was winning. Nobody stood up to him. I didn't either. So yeah, so that's kind of interesting to hear. So I don't want to deal with people like that too either. Now, as you know, I did mention Clark Connors. His contract with New Japan has expired. Well, apparently another member of the Bullet Club, War Dogs, his contract expires by this month, and that is none other than Gabe Kidd. So this was reported by Fightful Select, and now it's been confirmed. As you guys may have heard, I remembered I announced this on a news update that Katsuyori Shibata has announced he's all in. Now here's what details have been told. He is no longer with New Japan Pro Wrestling. The reason he left was because he felt that he has no place there. And the reason he went to AEW was because he said that he is a great ring and he wants to finish his career there. So it's very interesting now. I know that he would have loved nothing more to get back in the ring in New Japan, but it was never going to happen. But Tony Khan gave him those opportunities back again. Now, finally, hopefully by the next episode, I'll get more information on this particular update. If you guys are fans of Tokyo Yoshi Pro, then this was announced. Juria Nagano has announced that she'll be graduating from Tokyo Pro Wrestling. Now, let me iterate what that means for some of you. That means they're not retiring. Basically, they're done with the promotion and they're move on to bigger things. We've already seen that many times. I mean, Yuka Sakazaki graduated from Tokyo Pro Wrestling. She's not stopping wrestling, but she will be moving on to wrestle overseas. Marika Kobashi did the same thing. She graduated but not retired, but she ended up, of course, wrestling with PPP Tokyo, and hopefully she'll be coming here to the States as well. And of course, we had Nodoka Temna, who graduated and retired, so there's a difference. So it's still unclear why she's announcing, but many people have commented this on social media. Those who knows this, she's a registered nurse and an actress. So basically, her schedule is kind of tight. But I'm sure there's more to this, but we'll find out soon enough. Man, I can't believe I did the longest news update on this episode. But anyway, from here on out, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. We'll see if they do have NWA Power and NXT. I have been aware because I've been following this promotion. Japanese promotion PPP Tokyo has announced their upcoming show that you can see on YouTube. It's happening on a Tuesday as well, so I will be doing that. Now, I haven't decided yet. There is still some shows from 2023 I haven't finished reviewing yet. I think that's one I haven't reviewed, and that is Future Stars of Wrestling. So if I'm able to do that, fine, I'll do it. But if not, sorry. But we'll see what happens until then. So that's the plan for our next episode, and I want to apologize to those. I know you were expecting this episode to be released on a Monday, but I'm sorry. Due to me, I was feeling like I wanted to take my time for this one, but I was thankful that I did, and now I'm able to do this now. So, but for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.